Vanessa.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. How are you? How are you doing,
I'm
lovely?
good, thank you.
Long time no see. So this is actually
Yes.
the second time we're actually seeing each other face to face. Gosh, I just finished a workout and is expecting to have stopped being so sweaty by now. But excuse me. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, I've had lots of schoolwork to do, so I think I've been very busy doing like that over quarantine or over lockdown. But you know, it's very stressful and overwhelming because obviously you don't really know how long it's going to last for, like exactly what the plan is. So, I mean, it's been a very crazy experience with like a variety of emotions, I think, for everyone.
Yeah, I bet. And I'm sure like hopefully having your friends around you, I say around you,
Yes.
because you're all in the same situation right now. But before we dive in fact, let me type the title in. Gosh, it's always so difficult to do it on the tripod, but while I am typing it in, would you like to just introduce yourself and how you became the amazing Inspiring Vanessa?
Okay, so those who don't know who I am, I'm Inspiring Vanessa. I'm 13 years old and I'm an international multi-award winning motivational speaker. I'm also a YouTuber and presenter. I also do modeling and I'm also an author of 2 books. The first one is called The 5 Secrets to Public Speaking Success and the second one is called Vanessa's Book of Quotes. So you're probably thinking she does a lot of stuff. So I started 4 years ago when I was 9 years old. So it all started when I attended an event and one of the speakers there invited me to go up and speak on stage. And my confidence has definitely grown a lot throughout my journey. So me at 9 years old definitely didn't want to go on stage, and it would be the first time I would have done a speech. So when I went on stage, or before I was thinking about doing it, my mum gave me those encouraging words, as mums do, and I went on stage, said some affirmations. To be honest, I was probably just super over. I just wanted to go on there and then run back off. But there's like a 30-second little speech. So I was like,
Did you say you were
asked me to
9
do a
when you
TED
started?
talk. Pardon?
You say you were 9 when you first did that first talk? Oh my gosh.
So I was it was very nerve-wracking. I do remember it just like it was yesterday. So then I went on stage, said some like inspiring words and quotes that were kind of from the top of my head, and then surprisingly to me, I got feedback that was good. So people telling me it kind of helped them in a way. And for me, that was like a massive realization, because I was like, how did I help you just by saying some random words from like the top of my head? So then I kind of realized, if I've always wanted to help people, and this is kind of my way of doing that, so I just decided to start doing speaking. That's kind of how it all started.
Wow. Where did your early inspiration come from? Where did all of those amazing inspirational quotes even come from?
I mean, my mum started her personal development journey, so that's kind of how it began. So when she started going and attending different events, for me, because it's just being like me and my mum, so obviously it's like I would go with her everywhere. So even if I was like in the corner of the room on my iPad with headphones on, like watching a YouTube video, I was still subconsciously taking in all that information. So I think when I actually I was put under pressure, people can say, it kind of just came out without me really realizing it. So I think that's what happens a lot when I'm on stage. You just kind of, whatever comes out just kind of comes out, and then that's how you kind of deliver a speech. So I think that's really how it started. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, there's people in the comments saying you sound so seasoned.
Thank you.
I honestly can't believe you started at 9, but I mean, I thought 13 was enough, to be fair. I thought that was amazing enough, but you actually started so many years ago. Incredible. Well done to you. The hearts are flying. So honestly, you're on an amazing journey, and it's great to have met you. So just briefly, guys, I actually met Vanessa at an event in Croydon last year, the Croydon Town Hall, wasn't it? Yes. So it was Danielle Love to Dance. She had an event where the mayor came, and Vanessa actually got her Proud and Gifted award. Shout out Proud and Gifted. But that's where I met her, and I was instantly blown away by just like how well spoken you are, and you can really tell that everything that comes out of your mouth is genuinely how you think and feel, and it's amazing. So welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on today.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm very excited.
Thank you. Right, well, let's get straight in. So the whole point of today was really because, obviously, as a youth worker, I am devastated to have not been able to have as much contact with young people,
Yes.
Given the lockdown. But I think it's still so important that whilst we're developing services for young people, that we hear from young people. I don't think there's been enough conversations that have actually included you guys and how you feel, and it's impacting you just as heavily as it is the adults. So it's great to have you on, and obviously share as much or as little as you like. I shared the questions with you beforehand, so if there's any you're like, no, don't want to talk about that one, just feel free to.
Oh no, I think I'm fine with all of them that you kind of
Fantastic.
sent us, so it's great.
All right, great. Well, let's go straight in then. So first thing I'd like to ask, how have you noticeably been impacted by lockdown? What's been the real impact for you?
I mean, well, it was kind of like a whole new routine for me, because one of the questions I usually get asked a lot is, how do you manage speaking and then also do school? Because if we were at school, I would still be going to school full time. So for me, it was almost easier to go to school and then come back home and kind of do my Inspiring Vanessa stuff, because it was like I could kind of separate it. So it's like two different routines or two different kind of personas of mine. And then when obviously lockdown started, it's kind of like they both kind of collided, or like my two different worlds collided. So I mean, it was quite overwhelming for the first couple of weeks, because I had to obviously like manage out my day, like structure it, like when I would do like my online schoolwork, and then I would start doing like editing videos or doing an Instagram live interview. So it was kind of like having to really organize myself and be like very driven and focused, which I usually am, but I think it was just very stressful. And stress is probably the worst thing that can happen, because stress actually lowers your immune system, if anybody doesn't know that. Right. So that means that you're more like vulnerable to the virus. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm making myself as calm as possible, obviously during this time. But I think like the online school routine has definitely impacted me the most.
I can imagine, and like you said, it's that whole thing of having sort of all three worlds come together in one go, and it is quite stressful, because naturally you're able to separate when you go to school, that's school, you're at home, that's home. But it must be really difficult having it all in one place. So I can imagine that it must have taken some time to get used to. How is it now? Obviously we're in week 8 of lockdown now. Have you adjusted, or is it still quite tricky?
I mean, I think I've adjusted quite well so far, but like sometimes or in some days, it's like sometimes I have like more schoolwork that my teachers have put up than other days. So sometimes it's like, well, I feel like everything's going with the flow, and then suddenly like Thursday comes and I have like 6 homeworks to do or something like that. And it's like there are just so many tasks and assignments to do, and there are like so many places that you need to fill them out. So I mean, maybe if they made it a bit simpler, I think I would have been a bit more calmer in the first couple of weeks. If it was easier to reach out to my teachers for like that support, or like any questions that I had about the work. But I think I have adjusted quite well to it, because even if some people may see like Instagram as like a job or something that you need to do as like part of your career or how to grow your platform, it's like me speaking on Instagram lives to people, even people interviewing myself, I'm still speaking to someone, I'm still having that interaction, even though I'm not physically in front of them. So I think that's kind of helped me as well as help other people kind of uplift their mood.
It makes a big difference, doesn't it? Just having that small bit of contact every day. And I don't know about you, but do you feel a lot better when the sun's out as well? It seems somehow.
Yes, the weather has been kind of up and down. But it has been really nice for the last couple of days. My mum keeps trying to encourage me to keep going outside for daily walks. So we've been doing that. I think like from the beginning of lockdown, anyways. So, like some days I just want to kind of lie in bed, and I know that I still need to go outside just to get that fresh air, and it does make a very big difference. And now that Boris Johnson, or the Prime Minister, has encouraged us to actively go outside and do outdoor activities, then I think people should kind of start doing that more, because it really does make
a big difference, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does elevate the mood. That's why I thought, you know what, let's do a quick workout. Like I said, didn't realise I was going to still be so hot 10 minutes later. But it does make a massive difference just to get that fresh air, get yourself out and about of the house. But oh gosh, thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you have sort of adjusted, sort of figured out a way to create some kind of routine for yourself. And has that helped to manage the stress that you said you were feeling? Has that helped to manage sort of creating some kind of routine?
I mean, like, it's probably most surprising when I mention this to people, but like, even though in videos I may come across as like really like calm, or like I just kind of know what to say in a way, but sometimes like me dealing with stress is like one of the worst things like I can deal with, because like if I stress too much I have like really bad stomach aches, like I really break out on my face, like so many different side effects to when I stress out, because it's just like so overwhelming for myself as well. So I mean some days I'm like really fine with it, or I'm really calm with it, and then other days it just kind of all kind of blows up. And especially if you're watching the news, or if people are talking about it constantly and just kind of thinking about what's going to happen in the future, I think the uncertainty for me is basically what is more like scary, because like I never like things that are like unknown. So like, you know, the ocean, and people have phobias of the ocean. That's kind of how I kind of see lockdown, and I've never really liked those images where you kind of have the darkness like at the bottom. So I think it's just kind of like the unknown part of it, or the unprecedented time that we're going to be in lockdown, I think is what stresses everyone out the most.
Definitely. I think if I asked anyone that question, a lot of people would say it is the uncertainty, and that's probably the most difficult part to deal with, because you really just don't know. And it's so important, like you said, to just stay focused on today, what you can do. Keep
yourself busy, so that you're not thinking about exactly what's going on in the world.
But that, you know what, just before I forget, I'm going to write this down in case I forget, because there's something you said that I think is really important that we will come back to a bit later on. It's related to one of our questions. But I think it's also important that you said that you notice and you recognize that, you know, some days you are going to just feel like, I just need to lie in bed and just let today just wash over me. It really will just happen. It is such a roller coaster of emotions. In fact, I saw a post today that said Corona coaster, and I was like,
quite literally, I think every single person can relate to that.
It's just been so up and down, but it's really good that you recognize that those will just come and go, and you just take the good and the bad as it comes. But yeah, really good. Okay, we kind of covered what you're struggling with the most, so we'll skip past that. But another one that I think is really important and will affect a lot of young people, but school. So you kind of touched on it already, but are you receiving online classes like face-to-face with your teachers, or is it sort of just like a brief and then you're given assignments?
Well, I don't have Zoom classes like some people do. I mean, I think I kind of like not having Zoom classes, not because I don't want to see my teacher, but it's just kind of like I can almost structure out my own day and not kind of be exactly on point with the lessons. So if I need to finish an assignment, or I send it in the day after it's meant to be due in, at least I'm still doing the work, because I know that when we get back to school there are going to be some students who never did anything. So like the point is that I'm still doing it afterwards. So I mean, I don't do Zoom calls, but I do have a lot of like online things. So maybe people have like share my homework. That's what I have. We use Google Classroom a lot. So they're just kind of like different platforms that we use to have like quizzes, or I just write everything down in like the books that I do have, or on Google Documents.
Okay, well, it sounds like they're doing well in trying to keep you engaged as much as they can.
Kind of keep us engaged, still trying to get our education, which is still important.
And it's really good on you for doing it, honestly, because I mean, I teach 2 days a week as well, and some days, honestly, I don't even feel like, if someone says they haven't done their homework, it's like, you know what, you came to class today, it's good to see you. Honestly, like I can really imagine how impactful this is. I mean, I don't know what your relationship with school is like on a normal day, but that brings me to the question. So has this changed your outlook on school? Like, do you appreciate it more? Are you excited to get back in? Are you sort of now pulling away from it?
I mean, it's like a whole different like variety of emotions, I would say. I mean, I've definitely gotten a very different perspective of school, because although like on some days of school the lessons would be like really boring, or because maybe a teacher doesn't share the work, that it becomes entertaining for the students. But I think it's just that routine that we're so used to that our mind just gets so comfortable with it. So I think when all of a sudden something happens and it's a massive change, like a complete change, I think that routine mix up kind of just made everyone feel like very kind of like, I don't know, unstable, you can say. So I mean, I definitely miss school in the way that I miss the social interaction. Like even just seeing my teachers or getting to actually speak to them straight away, I think I miss that the most, or just seeing my friends. Like, if you FaceTime them, but just kind of having that interaction and be able to speak to them about different things or about certain pieces of work, I think it's just like a really important element that I think I miss the most about just like the school environment. So I think I've definitely had a different perspective, but the online schoolwork, I mean, some days I just really can't be bothered to do anything because there's just so much work to do. So I mean, some parts of it I still see the same way, but I think just as an overall perspective, I do see how school was still a good environment for people to be in.
Definitely, it sounds like it, and you can already sort of feel, I mean, from the students I work with anyway, you can already sort of feel the days where they are feeling a bit low or demotivated. And I don't blame them. I mean, even me as an adult, there's Zoom calls where it's just like, oh, I have to be bothered to do something.
You can just turn the video off.
I know, and
so they can just hear your voice.
Though, because you naturally get used to just then not doing anything. Like I said, it's Friday, which is normally a day where we're lazy anyway. So naturally, this is the appearance you're getting today, Vanessa. It fluctuates. Okay, so outlook has slightly changed, a bit mixed up at the moment. Do you think that's gonna maybe change with time, given if the situation with coronavirus shifts, or is it sort of the uncertainty mixed with lockdown that sort of made that feeling?
I think it's the uncertainty kind of mixed with the lockdown, as you said yourself. Like, I'll be over the moon if we went back in July. Like, I'll be over the moon.
Oh, okay.
Because they're saying that primary schools are going to be going back in June.
Yeah.
So if like it would be like a miracle for humanity if schools or secondary schools got to go back earlier, but they are saying that we'll be going back in September. So it is kind of a tricky situation, so we just have to kind of wait and see.
It was one of my questions actually, how you feel about the schools going back, because obviously Boris has said one of the first things going back will be the schools, and there's been I don't know if you've seen, but very, very mixed emotions about that. Some places are saying, you know, our kids aren't guinea pigs, is it safe enough to send kids back? And then other places are saying, you know, the kids need somewhere to have an education. They've been at home for 8 weeks, because I mean, this is much longer than a summer holiday, and with a lot less fun. So what is it that you're excited about? What is it that would make you want to go back in July?
I mean, I think like the whole situation about primary schools going back, or like the youngest children going back like first, I mean, I think it's quite controversial, because like, just imagine how much trauma they would be feeling if they go back to school. They can't even like say hello to their friends. They just wouldn't understand the situation. And then let alone seeing like a teacher in a mask. I mean, I couldn't really imagine how that would feel for a really young person, and still like they could be told about what's happening obviously and why they have to stay at home, but they wouldn't be aware of social distancing measures or something like that. So I just keep saying that secondary schools or like just older students should be going back first, because people may need to carry on doing their GCSE like practice or prep or A-level prep, because otherwise their future could be like in the hands of this coronavirus. I think it is for everyone anyway, but then we also kind of understand what we have to do to keep safe and to still be in this kind of plan that the government has kind of told us about. So I mean I hope it's safe enough for everybody to go back to school in the next couple months, and for obviously younger kids as well. But I mean, it just kind of depends on people's like opinions on the virus, but I think they should probably start allowing parents to choose whether they want their kid to go back to school, because they're still doing the online schoolwork. They're still doing like little tasks that they would do, but it should be the parents' choice if they decide to go back to school and they just start bringing back more people, and then it just kind of becomes normal again, and not just making everybody go back to school straight away. Because I know like if I had a child, and I wouldn't want them to go at school straight away having all of these like unclarified questions about the situation. So I mean, I think they should just give people like the freedom to choose whether they want their own children obviously to go to school or not.
I think that's key, definitely, like you said. I mean, I've had some parents who have said before the class this evening that they are absolutely not sending their kids back. But I think it's really a good point what you said. The older kids should definitely be the ones to go back first. There's some preparing for GCSEs.
I'm also saying that because I really want to go back to school.
Partly as well. I mean, you've got your reasons for wanting to go back, and I think that everyone, like you said, should have that choice. There are going to be some people, and I think if people are forced to go back in, that in itself is going to cause so much stress and anxiety when people aren't ready to do it, that they're going to create a whole new problem, which is I think where my concern is. So that brings us very nicely to my next question actually. So if you are to go back to school in July, what kind of support do you think needs to be put in place for young people? Because I don't think I've heard of any, so let's see what young people actually think they need.
I mean, I think it would be good for like discussions to be held in the classrooms, just kind of like, it could even be like anonymous, because we've had like different tasks at school where people need to talk about their feelings or something, but they want to write it anonymously because obviously you don't really want people to kind of worry about you or whatever, anything that's going on in like a young person's mind. So I think like those kind of tasks should be done, that people can kind of lay out their feelings if they haven't told anyone about like their inner thoughts about coronavirus to their parents when they were in this like long period of time. And then I mean, I hope teachers are going to be more supportive. I mean, I hope teachers aren't just going to go straight back, or they're still going to be asking us, oh, why didn't you do this piece of work on this certain week in like April or something? And it's like, do you even understand how much like mental health issues that we've probably gained, or how much like risk it's been in? So I just think that, I think the staff at schools should just kind of be more supportive towards young people more than ever. But to be honest, I think even before the COVID-19 pandemic, schools didn't really support young people in terms of their mental health beforehand, because it was kind of more about worrying about your education and your future rather than how you're going to, or the state of mind you're going to be in the future. So I think schools should start focusing more on that as well, definitely.
You literally hit the nail on the head. It makes me pull my hair out. It's exactly why I work so heavily in schools, because there isn't enough support. And I didn't even think about, like what you said, there was already not even enough support beforehand now. So are they going to finally recognize that mental health is something that they need to take seriously in schools? They really need to amp it up right now. In fact, it needs to be
up their game.
Seriously up their game right now, especially if they're saying they want young people to come back to schools first. We know there's going to be mental health problems, not just in young people and adults. So why isn't it that we're talking about that now?
There needs to be, they need to make sure that it's not going to be like normal again.
Right.
Because even people who could be like directly affected by the virus, if we just start going back to any normal lessons, people are going to be very offended, because how do you just act like that all we've been through for the past like 8 or 6 weeks hasn't happened? We're just going to go back to normal,
just brush it under the rug,
nothing, as if nothing happened. It's like, no, we are living in future history lessons. I think that's what every like student is thinking about. And it's like, wow, when I'm in like, I don't know, my 40s, kids are probably going to be learning about this pandemic and about the scientific factors of the coronavirus, and in history lessons we're going to be learning about how it impacted the world or how it impacted different nations. So I think people just need to recognize like the impact it's going to make like after this is all kind of cleared up. So schools need to be very fragile, I think, definitely now, otherwise people are just going to start going insane. More than they are in lockdown anyways.
And it's not going to be like 1 or 2, it's going to be like a mass rise in stress, anxiety. I mean, I was in a online safeguarding training the other day, and they're already talking about the fact that anxiety and depression has spiked in young people in this time. So the fact that they've got the stats there, it just makes me wonder, okay, so you have this information, what are you going to do about it? You just want to send them back to schools. You haven't even supported them whilst they've been at home, and now you want to force them back into a situation with everyone else who hasn't been supported and sort of expect them to just get on with it. It makes no sense. So, you know, the fact that you're even saying that yourself as a young person just shows that there's a huge issue there, the fact that you're aware there's no support. So, I mean, is it safe in me saying that there hasn't really been much well-being support from school? And
I mean, you could say that. I mean, some schools I think may endorse it more heavily than other schools. That could just be because of how the staff has been taught, or like the rules in the school, because some schools have like lots of freedom and then some schools are very strict. So I think it just kind of depends on the school curriculum as a whole. And I mean, there have been multiple times in the past where young people have reached out to schools or just like the government and kind of mentioned the problems that they want to be fixed, so that there are more like opportunities for young people to kind of speak up or use their voice in schools. But I think now, especially if they don't do something about it, it's going to be very silly. But hopefully, and I think they genuinely will, because of the statistics. And if the statistics are telling them something, then they're probably going to do it if there are figures and they are exactly told to directly.
Well, let's hope. That's it. That's what we can do.
Crossing my fingers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think more conversations like this need to happen with more young people, and you'll see that it's a recurring theme, and you're probably not the only person who feels like this. This is just one of the first conversations I'm having, and you're already literally everything that I was expecting you to be feeling is exactly
off the boxes.
Yeah, it's as if they think that just because you guys are young, you don't experience the same emotions. We've always,
every adult has been at our age before.
Exactly.
So I think they just need to start thinking about that more often.
Exactly. And it wasn't easy. Everyone remembers, like everyone my age remembers being a teenager. It was not an easy time, let alone throw in a pandemic and locking them down for 8 weeks. Like, come on guys, this is really the time to be listening and filling those rooms where they're talking about young people's mental health with politicians that actually want to do something about it. But well, this is why there's so many grassroots companies trying to do something, because if they're not going to do anything, then someone's got to. Right, next question. Oh, also guys, sorry, I always forget to start off. Just next to the comment box, there is a little card with a question mark on it, just down below. Yep,
somewhere there
for you, where you can throw in some more questions for us the whole time. I did have a couple sent in beforehand, which I'll get to towards the end.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I should have been doing? Ticking as we go along what we've covered, so I'm not looking over my notes. Okay, so has quarantine made you more appreciative of anything? And this goes now beyond school, but just as a young person yourself, things that you enjoy doing, has it made you more appreciative of anything?
I mean, like, I think I kind of speak for like the whole younger generation, but it's like some days or like before the pandemic, it was like, well, of course I'd love to stay at home for like a long amount of time and do nothing. Also, we still are doing things at home, and we still are expected to do things. But I think obviously now we're actually living in it, you kind of have your own thoughts and feelings about it. So I think I've definitely become more appreciative of like the smaller things, like things that we take advantage for like every single day. So even just going outside and actually like recognizing like the different flowers that look nice, or like just the springtime in general, just kind of recognizing those different things and appreciating them, as you were saying. So I mean, I definitely think just going outside, I think I definitely took for granted before.
Yeah.
We still are allowed to go outside, but I think I just appreciate it more just because I have that freedom to do it, unlike I don't have freedom to do other things.
Yeah, it's that freedom of like when we were, like you said, able to just stay home and do nothing. It was almost like a godsend, those days where you were allowed to just do absolutely nothing, stay at home, doesn't matter what's going on outside, you were happy to be indoors. But now it's something about almost being told that you can't go. Like
it makes you want to go outside more.
Rebellious teenagers who just want to go outside even more now that we're not supposed to. But I know you said that, like you said, we're allowed to go out, but there's still that sort of, I don't know, there's like cloud hanging, isn't it? Even when you step out, they say we're allowed to go out, but I feel like everyone can sort of feel this unease. Like if you're walking, someone will just cross the road. I think that there's still that unspoken agreement. Well, so I know what you mean about that. It doesn't feel the same in the freedom, and we do really take it for granted. I feel like when it is completely safe, it's going to be like carnival on the streets just on a normal day. But let's see. Okay, so this one sort of spins off the last question a little bit as well, but let me know your thoughts. So have you thought about your future more, less, or differently?
I would say more, for many different reasons, to be honest. If I said all of them, we would be here for a very, very long time. But I feel like more just because like we're already going through everything in the present, and you kind of know what's happened in the past already. So I think the future is something that everybody's thinking about. Like, what is the future of this pandemic? How long is it going to be going on for? What is the future of everybody's health? What is the future for the government? What is the future for the economy? Whatever people are thinking about due to their political views or whatever it is that they're thinking about. So I think definitely more. But also it's a good time to kind of think about your future, because I know that a lot of my friends at school, like when we had to pick like our GCSE options, it's like, well, now it's actually serious, because you think about what we want to do in the future, and most kids still don't know what they want to do. So I think during this time we can almost use it as a space to think about what we want to do, and kind of try out different things that we are able to do at the comfort of our own home. So I think definitely I'll say more.
Okay. Is it okay? This is sort of now like a made up question off the back of that one.
Oh, go ahead.
I love to do spin-off questions. So when you say you're thinking about it more, is it more from a standpoint of just the uncertainty, like it's constantly like overwhelming, or more from an optimistic point of view?
I mean, I'll say more from the optimistic point of view, but I mean, some aspects can be because of the uncertainty and just like everything that's going on in the news, and like there's just a lot of negativity being spread around. So I mean, I've always been quite an optimistic person. So I think just kind of using that time, my mum is a very big like advocate for positivity and mindset and positive thinking. It's probably where I get most of my kind of like thoughts from as well. So I get that definitely from my mum. So I think it's kind of her like influence on me even more than before. I think just kind of makes me want to work harder to make me feel like more happier, or try and just kind of focus on the good things out of this pandemic, although there are so many bad outcomes happening around the world right now.
Yeah, and I think that is the advice I'd give any young person right now. None of us know what the future's going to hold. They could literally release a news statement tomorrow and say it's completely disappeared. You guys weren't alive when the SARS pandemic happened, but I was actually your age when that happened. And I just remember it was always something that we were talking about in schools, but no one really understood what it meant. I think I was younger than you, in fact, when it happened. And then all of a sudden, it really just vanished. It just went away. It was crazy.
Well, I hope that happens.
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
But I know, it would be amazing. And it just proves that everything changes. It just takes a day for everything to change. And I think the optimistic view is the best thing to do until we can't anymore. Nothing has said that it shouldn't be positive. So whilst we can stay positive, we should. And I think that's a really, really good approach. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. So this one, again, this is what I was talking about earlier about wanting to come back to. So you said a lot about the news. Now, a few young people I've spoken to, some are, fixed to the news. Some absolutely can't stand it, will not watch it at all. Some are just like, I don't even know where to get like probable, like actual good news from. Like, I don't believe anything I read anymore. Where is your standing on this? Is there actually a source for young people that you feel comfortable, or is it sort of just the general news outlets you're getting your news from?
I mean, somebody should make a news source that kind of has better information, or I don't know, like different YouTube channels or like different accounts on Instagram could be sharing like positive information or just things to help people stay more positive and feel better, obviously during this time, despite all the stuff that's going on in the news. But I mean, before this pandemic, like me and my mum never watched the news because we just knew that it would always be negative. It would definitely bring down your mood. And although it is good to keep aware of the things, we're on social media so often that we kind of hear about the things anyway. Yeah. So instead of hearing more negativity and then still being aware of it, we'd rather just be more aware than feel like down.
That's it.
Yeah, but obviously now, like, we had to watch like Boris Johnson's speech because we all thought that he was going to clarify some things. Didn't exactly meet all of our expectations, but some things like that we do watch just to kind of get hopefully a clearer view of what's going to happen. Yeah. But my mum has been like watching a lot of videos on YouTube about like the actual history behind the coronavirus, and if it's actually like a man-made disease or just different stories, or you can say conspiracies, but there is a lot of evidence to how this virus came along, and it's not actually a natural occurrence. Because I think a natural occurrence, it takes 800 years. If the virus had to come together, it would have taken 800 years for it to actually become a virus that can infect humans. So I mean, there's just a lot of information that I think is very like broad or available to lots of different people. I just think if people decide to focus on more of it, then they can find a lot of different things. But I mean, there's the news is just out there, I think the news is just quite a problematic platform in some ways. So I think some news channels that kind of do bring light on positive things, people should try and watch more. Try and find it even on YouTube or online somewhere. Yeah.
That's the thing, and I think that's what the biggest problem is. There's so much news coming from everywhere. Can I just say, I think me and your mum would get along great. Conspiracy theories all the way. That is the way that my brain works as well. I mean, I won't go into that because that would probably take us way off course in this conversation, so we can do that another time. But it's like you said, there's so much out there, and I'm actually doing some media literacy with some young people at the moment because it gets so overwhelming. And even if you don't necessarily want the news, it finds a way to get you, even if you're scrolling through Instagram or just scrolling through YouTube. But like you said, I think it would be really good if there was a channel that was dedicated to just...
I mean, I had like a lockdown series on my channel.
There you go.
So it's like different ways to stay positive. So, you know, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you know, go subscribe.
That's it. Take the opportunity. Exactly, guys. I mean, I'm definitely going to take some of those myself, because really there's so much news out there at the moment that it would just be good to have one place that I go for my little rundown.
Just kind of calm your mind. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But I think that is the best thing, and the thing that everyone should be focusing on, just finding ways to stay calm and live in the present. It is so difficult for everyone, and I mean, just having this conversation with you has proven that it is affecting young people in exactly the same ways it's affecting us. And we should really be talking to you guys more. There's so many of you as well. Like, we're about to send like thousands of you back into schools without having these conversations first, and I just think it's ridiculous. So again, I know I've said thank you a million times, but I mean, this has been so helpful just for myself as well, and thinking about how I can continue to support young people and their well-being when they do go back into schools, if they do decide to do that next month. Okay, so we've already kind of covered about what you think about going to schools going back in. We know you're very excited about
Have a very big opinion on it.
Yeah. Excitement. So then that brings us actually now to, we've actually managed to cover, I knew we would do this. I didn't even need all of our talking points. I knew we would manage to cover all of our talking points just through back and forth conversation. So I'll move on to some of the questions that were sent on from earlier. So someone has said, how have you managed to stay motivated to do a YouTube channel during this difficult time?
I mean, having my YouTube, I mean, I've taken breaks on my YouTube channel in the past to kind of focus more on my mental health. So when kind of lockdown started, I thought to myself, well, am I going to take a break in the future? And to be honest, I haven't really felt like a point where I kind of feel burnt out. That people say, that's like a phrase that people use. So I haven't really felt like that during this lockdown time or period of space. So, I mean, I just kind of have to think about, what is somebody else going to be feeling like if they have no kind of source or video to what's going to uplift them? So for me, I just kind of want to be that person that's going to be there for them. And me also knowing in my head that I'm still helping someone is going to make me feel better. So I think definitely just kind of thinking about the well-being of other people, as well as trying to keep mine prioritized at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it's good that it's been like almost like your base as well. So it's sort of helping you whilst you're helping others, which is amazing. I think that's the best way to stay motivated. Passion is one of the easiest ways to stay motivated with something, even when the motivation is lacking, being passionate about something. And I can tell you're so passionate about your channel. It's amazing. Your consistency is great.
Thank you.
Do better than a lot of people even older than myself. So you're already doing amazing things. In fact, that brings us very nicely to our next question. What do you see as the future of Inspiring Vanessa, and how would you like to reach more people?
I mean, I'd love to do a TED Talk.
Wow.
I'd love to do a TED Talk. I mean, there's also an event called We Day. I've actually been there before, and I was actually like a press for them. So I got to interview some of the celebrities who went to the event and got to kind of see them. So that was like an amazing event in general, just because it kind of, the whole event is about young people and about their voice. So I mean, being able to speak on that platform, I think it was like over like 12,000 people. I mean, just having that platform to kind of share my own message to more young people, I think would be like a massive dream of mine, or a massive accomplishment. So I definitely would love to speak on Weekday and do a TED Talk. Otherwise, like in the future, I mean, I can see myself being like a TV presenter and hopefully be in the acting industry. So just kind of being in that industry where it almost involves either talking to people and interviewing people, or just kind of being in front of the camera in different ways.
Well, I mean, you're getting great practice in already. I can't see any of that out of the reach. It all just seems like things that you're just going to tick off your list in a couple of years. It doesn't sound like a challenge in any shape or form.
Thank you.
Honestly, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I'm just scrolling through to see if I haven't missed any of the comments or the questions. I think it'll be great for us as well, when you do go back to school, for us to have another conversation and see how you're getting on. And
definitely, yeah.
I think everything you said will resonate with so many young people. I'm hoping this will let me save this time. It seems to never let me save my lives. But I've been screen recording, so I'm going to play with it, edit it, and we're going to keep this up so that other young people can see that actually you're not alone.
We'll try and upload it on YouTube as well.
Yes, exactly. So, well, we know you're definitely going to do that. You're very consistent with your videos. We'll be expecting it from you anytime soon. But thank you so much again for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me here.
The sun's come out again.
Great questions.
I mean, you answered them so well. I think, I said, there's so much here that I can go away with and start thinking about how I can continue to support. But yeah, like I said, we'll have another conversation if and when you go back to school next month. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. The sun's just come back out. Enjoy it. Hopefully go for your daily walk. Say hi to your mum.
I will.
We have to have a conversation soon as well, I think. All right, I'll speak to you again soon, lovely.
Okay.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.